That's a little bit into COVID time. Before the next session is 11:30. But Vijay, you have given a very thorough and comprehensive presentation. And on here, I'm quite sure there's some also Singapore developers who want to have some specific questions to ask with you. So I think I'll ask one question at a time because this question can be very specific. So please identify yourself and then please proceed to ask the question. The floor is open to those who like to ask questions from Vijay. Yes?
Well, sir, modality-wise, yours is on the basis, concept-wise, Silicon Valley, or the French Silicon Valley, or the Russian Silicon Valley, or Chinese, for example. So modality-wise, I noticed that you have feasibility on the subsequent rather than on the forefront. You didn't do feasibility studies in the forefront before that, before you go into the Japanese orientation?
In fact, I think the emphasis has actually been laid on developing these feasibility plans and reports. The project has originally been conceived in 2007, right? And a lot of bilateral negotiations have happened between Indian players and Japanese players. So even before Japanese had committed their involvement in this project, DMIC DC Corporation was set up. Originally, it was majorly owned by the government. There was no stake at all for Japanese. They did a lot of feasibility studies, perspective plans, master planning exercises, etc. Only in 2012 did Japanese commit for the first time their stake in the project as well as the first tranche of loan, $4.5 billion for the project. So thorough planning has happened. I think this is for a change in India. A lot of planning went in before implementation started.
Yes, the gentleman, please. Yeah, please identify yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Manish. I represent the asset management company based out of Singapore, UTR. We are also raising money for the Indian debt and equity as well in infrastructure projects. This is a great project, but I think have this land has been acquired? How government will think that this? I think land acquisition will be an issue.
It is.
So what they are thinking, I believe they may have thought about it.
Land acquisition definitely is an issue. However, states such as Gujarat have been a little, forward-looking on this aspect. And the state has actually consolidated large tracts of wasteland, and today can give a ready-made package for an investor, especially in the DMIC corridor projects. States such as Uttar Pradesh, maybe Haryana, and also Madhya Pradesh to an extent, given its environment sensitivities, have got challenges in consolidating and offering land. But land acquisition will be threefold. One is, if the state has got the land ready, I think it is more than happy to offer it right away. If this is going to be conceived as a PPP model, then acquisition could probably be relatively easy because the state engagement is prima facie there. And number three, if it is going to be purely private-led initiative, it will be tough. It will definitely be tough for acquisition. And another interesting trend in acquisition of land issue is the new bill that is on the table. I think the entire industry is crying foul that if this bill actually becomes a reality, it would distort the investment picture in the country. The current bill proposes 3 times market value for acquisition of land, and which is in form of compensation to whoever is being displaced. And in addition to that, requires consensus, almost consensus, acceptance from 80% of the landowners. I think that would make land acquisition extremely difficult. But thankfully, the proposal is still in the bill stage. There has been a lot of opposition from the industry and from different political parties. We are hoping that it won't become a reality.
So when you do think that people, just a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
When you think that we can see the first project, or the first start? Right now it's a planning stage.
The first project is already awarded out.
Already. So land has acquisition started.
Gujarat is just running the show when it comes to the first set of initiatives. Dholera Ahmedabad corridor has already been planned, and pockets of it has been awarded out. Likewise, the next in the pipeline is a set of water supply augmentation initiatives in Madhya Pradesh, in Haryana, NCR region. They have all been lined up.
Well, it is still on the land acquisition, actually. I just wanted to flag a warning. I'm from Bangladesh, and we too have 3 or 4 major mega projects, each of which has foundered on this problem of land acquisition. It has not, in fact, none of the 4 have taken off. My question also, you have mentioned JICA's involvement is 4.5 billion or whatever, but the World Bank, has the World Bank been involved in any stage in the feasibility study of the total mega project, or it's just the government of India that?
The World Bank is not directly involved in this DMIC project, as far as my knowledge goes. But World Bank has awarded, or rather is funding India Infrastructure Finance Corporation Limited, which is today one of the stakeholders of DMIC project, one of the equity owners in DMIC DC. They have given a credit line of, I think, $2 billion to IFC.
No external feasibility study has been done?
None has been done by World Bank.
Surya from ISAS. Could you say which are the early bird projects which the Japanese have taken up? And those projects, are they also in Gujarat? And what is this 26% ownership of the Japanese? How does it really translate in practical terms?
Yeah. See, let me answer your second question first. The 26% stake in DMIC DC, Development Corporation, is not actually ownership of the entire project. Is a substantial ownership in the nodal agency, which is empowered to drive the project. So when Japanese investors get into India, into earlier unknown territories such as Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, etc., for them there needs to be a degree of confidence that whatever is being planned, whatever is being driven will actually happen in reality. So they were asking for a stake in both the development corporation as well as, of course, in individual projects. So initially there was a back and forth on it, and now I think the government has decided in August, it has given out a circular that JBIC will take 26% stake in DMIC DC Corporation. This is not the investment that it is going to make. Answering your first question, some of the early bird projects are in these states, in these investment regions and industrial areas. Dholera is I think running fast. You have a greenfield aviation hub also coming up in that mega industrial park between Ahmedabad and Dholera. An aerotropolis is being planned in the Greater Jaipur region. Regional MRTs are being planned both in Gujarat as well as in Haryana and NCR region. A knowledge city is being planned, or in fact in early stages of development in Ujjain, and a few other multimodal logistics hubs. These are the projects where Japanese have evinced interest, and players such as Mitsubishi and a few other recycling companies. Very interestingly, waste recycling companies have also entered into the fray in this particular corridor.
Perhaps following that,
Sure.
do you know of any Singapore companies which have cost on the early bird scheme? We have quite a number of projects with them, like Jurong, Ascendas, and everything.
Jurong, Ascendas and Keppel, I was told, are definitely in the race for some of these projects. Integrated townships is where I think they are looking at playing a significant role. Hyflux is actually quite active in bidding for water and water management projects.
Along the corridor. Yes.
Along the corridor. I think they are actually pretty involved.
I think, teacher.
Yes, I'm a part of the consultant. For 30 years. I've been in the company before, and also visiting some universities in China and Korea. And the thing is, this is a very relevant follow-up from the ambassador's question. That I see it's the GLCs, very government-linked corporations, very active, because I suppose they have the information.
And the scale.
The thing is that the big, large corporations in Singapore, I say big, not as big as some of the others, they don't know much about this. See, the thing is that what you said and presented is excellent. Yeah? But, if I may humbly recommend, you should follow the same method as what the Japanese do, whereby the various prefixes will come out and present. Same also with the Chinese, and same also with some other nations. Standard. You see, there you meet the people. And not only you, but you must be from the various what do you call it, organizations that are trying to attract. You said, ask questions. And that will be very effective, I think.
I think they have done some roadshows before, I think last year.
Which,
Not because of this DMIC, so they have done so.
Oh, they have?
Yes, I think last year.
Yeah, but
So
the thing is that it's not, I don't know, it's not well publicized. See, probably someone somewhere, maybe our people also are lacking about promoting it.
Can you please address the question
Sorry.
to Ms. Vijay? What's the question? Yeah.
So the question is that, are there any plans for these big organizations to come out and do roadshows and all that? Like what do you call it?
I think they were here. There was about twice. I think, apart from the DMIC, also the various states have come over to
have they?
publicize. The Chief Minister
Gujarat,
of
Madhya
Gujarat was
Pradesh,
there. Yeah. So it's not because of lack of
have all done roadshows, including
Yeah.
in Singapore.
See, but
For DMIC.
the point is this, sorry to say, not very well promoted.
You may have to look at ISA's website for
No. To be practical, and I put it this way, not only websites, some business people are very busy, they don't look at websites, they want to listen and they want to speak.
But the
Look at
S-
what has, what you call it?
Excuse me, I think there are some SPF, some announcement, IES have some
Yeah.
announcement.
So,
Unfortunately, I
sorry
missed
for
that.
interruption. Can I follow up from him?
Yes.
I'm Mani from Smartex Events Management. I do with special needs students also. Okay.
Events management, okay.
Events
Right.
management, well, special needs too. All right. I agreed with him to a certain percentage because Mr. Siegel came to Singapore once with, he was telling the same thing, it was more into the education part of it. But when I want to go a little bit more research on this, trying to get people where I can talk to, it was kind of a difficult, I was in a very difficult position. Seriously, I couldn't get the real info where I can go to. Well, I do agree with him. Maybe for me, I was very interested in the township, integrated township, which you're talking about, maybe schools, small education part where you can really improve there. And maybe we should have somebody who is from that department who can. Well, as he's saying, we were not aware of what the road shows were, so we are in the lurch. So maybe that could help. That is one part of, and it's difficult for us to get info where we are going to. For me, education is one part of it. So
I'm sorry.
maybe.
I think we'll take note. There are people from IES, International Enterprise Career Ministry. I think we should take note of this, of this suggestion that we should, and also those business representative
It's not
here.
always
A lot of
technical.
roadshows that happen, general
I
roadshows.
think,
Even 21st, when Finance Minister is coming up, and he will talk about the investments in India. But specific to this project, people are not aware. That is the fact.
I think we should
I have
that
also
before.
So you're
I think we
welcome
should-
to.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Seeing this interest, there is one way of doing it, and that is if Mr. Vijay's email is available to you, and you can
Yeah.
refer specific questions to him, and we can make sure that if necessary, we bring over those specific people over here for a kind of an interaction, which will deal with specific business inquiries. But it will be difficult for him to understand
Yes.
all that you are interested in. So if you send him an email saying, this is what I want to know, you put it together and maybe bring those people over.
Maybe that will help.
Yeah, thank you for the suggestion. I would like to give time for those who have specific queries to Vijay, because those are involved in the project in India. So we have some questions now, or you can ask him, if it's not to be made public, you can ask him during the time. But I would like to open the floor to those questions to Vijay.
Forgive me, sir. One last question. One last question. You didn't mention about the incentive at all.
Incentive for the project. Yes, good question. Yeah.
See, the incentive framework is 1 at the central level, 2 at the state level, and 3 at the project level. So if I have to kind of roll out all the incentives, tax, non-tax, land, non-land kind of, I think that itself would take a 1 hour solid presentation. But you're always free to write to me in case you want any project-specific incentive framework that is...
No, when I say incentive, I mean the exceptional, not the traditional, not the conventional. What is for anchor tenant coming in? What's so special about yours? Does yours is very much a basis where the Japanese are pulling out their Chinese investment and moving into the next, and that is India. That's the purpose of the Japanese involvement actually, the migration.
The Japanese, I think, strategically are looking at making this as an export hub for Middle Eastern and African markets. So that is probably their long-term interest in being involved in this project. But for other investors, I think the market opportunity is the biggest driver why they should be there. You'll have the entire Indian market out there for you to address from setting shop in this corridor. And the corridor is attempting to create an enabling ecosystem. You know, this problem of incentives, lack of commitments by different governments on honoring these incentives, etc., is an old story. Now the entire DMIC model has been conceptualized to create an ecosystem that would enable the industry and investments to foster, not give any specific doles to industry to, you know, run the projects in that location.
I think the question is more or less that Japan is good in financing the railroads and perhaps highways, but there are areas that urban planning, you know, industrial training may not be a special forte of the. I think perhaps the question behind it is, in what way does the DMIC or the central government make a coordinated approach to approach other foreign investors who come in as a big composite program like this? Is there any such program apart from the one we're running now?
No, I think if the question is the DMIC appealing to the rest of the world? I think they are doing it by individual. They are a project organization, so they are doing it by road shows all over the world. So whichever country, but Japanese, I think a small correction. Japanese are not interested in just in building up the infrastructure. They are interested in building up a lot of manufacturing utilities, particularly in the automobile, auto ancillary, light engineering, electronics, electrical sectors. They are actually interested in building. So they are looking at it as a huge manufacturing opportunity. So
I agree.
And well, others. I mean, I don't think that I don't think it makes sense to go hawk this project all around the world. I'm sure that the DMIC itself is doing it as much as it wants.
No, I agree that Japan has very strong powerful ministries.
For example,
manufacturing. But before that, you do the parks, the roads,
yeah, for
the
example,
power.
this
so these
is
are the one we should repair.
This is an opportunity to reach out to Singapore investors. We have now specific questions.
This gentleman here?
My name is Vijay Saluja. I come from New Delhi. I've been in the local government. I have two suggestions, Vijay, which you can give to DMIC and which Singapore people can also help that project. You know, because there are so many stakeholders involved, so many players, so many states, so many local bodies, land acquisition, etc., etc., etc. And considering the skill set of the people in our local bodies, the attitude, the mindsets, and there are varied people, to let the project go in a very streamlined manner. If you can suggest to DMIC that they can also take the help of, there are very excellent institutions in Singapore and they have excellent best practices. If that can be translated into the skill development, some corporation or some organization within DMIC as the center, where Institute of South Asian Studies can also coordinate. It will help in, you know, making them more tuned to this project of a very, very nature. Because as it is, there will be all sorts of people to block the project with it, and so the need is of more skill accreditation.
Yeah, I think she'll talk about it. She'll be talking
About
about
skill
skill
development,
gaps.
right, yeah.
It will come immediately after that.
All right.
Other questions? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Speaking from the experience that Suzhou Industrial Park has been developed, the way it has been developed, right?
Can you
So
answer yourself?
which is very much
Which
similar.
company are you from?
No, I have retired.
Oh, okay.
So, given the experience, the Suzhou Industrial Park, right, which is a G2G project, has developed. It involves both hardware as well as software, which I think will be addressed later, right? But this is only a portion of the software that, you will require the whole infrastructure, software infrastructure, in terms of legislation, for instance, right? Tax regimes and everything, in order to attract other investors to come in, because you cannot, it is not attractive enough given the current, legislations or investment environment. If it is enough incentive without the park, I think investors will have come in. So, given the whole infrastructure, including the software part, any plans, to get the software implemented?
Yeah, I think
Now you're addressing only the hardware issues, right? But what about the software portion?
no, in fact, there has been a perspective plan that has been prepared for DMIC project. It is not a public document, which is why I can't share it with you. So this particular document addresses specifically some of these software issues that you've been referring to: skill development, capacity building, the kind of institution reforms that are required, etc. And they have referred to multiple international models. They've looked at models in Korea, they've looked at models in China, and of course Singapore as well. So most definitely there is an emphasis on laying out the software well ahead of time before you implant something on the hardware side of it. So that mindset is already there in the planners.
Vijay, can I just clarify a few things? Just very brief. Number one, the feasibility was done by Island FS, which is an institution which is acceptable to the international funding agencies. Now, ILFS got off the board because they have a conflict. Having done the feasibility, they can't be bidding for the project. So ILFS did the feasibility, which was accepted by Government of India as well as Japanese. The second important point is Mr. Chowdhury's point about the land acquisition. The parallel experience in the National Highways Authority, we also planned the expressways, is more or less similar. The only project influence area is larger here, but otherwise the land acquisition is similar to what we have in National Highways. We have a bill which is cleared by the National Highways where they don't need to concur with the states. They can straight away acquire the land subject to certain rules and regulations. The authority is given to the National Highways Authority. Something similar is being contemplated at the highest level. So as Vijay had said, there is a policy that is there.
The states will have to concur.
So in this particular case, they have signed the MOAs. They have already signed the MOAs. So I don't see that as an issue at the moment. Now the third important point is about the incentives and concessions. If you look at the slew of projects that you have, each one has a policy and incentives already laid. It's available on the website. The road sector has the highest amount of incentives in terms of the FDI, in terms of the taxes, in terms of the import duties. It's all available. I don't think government is contemplating anything extra other than those incentives that are available on the roads. On the power, we are almost unbundled the whole reforms now. And today we are the third or fourth generation of the reforms. Electricity bill is on the anvil. Today you can have Muscat power plants all over the country. So you are free to sell the power from any state to any state. So I think there is no more incentives that are required for the power sector. On the integrated townships, I must mention this point, the smart city concept is what is being talked about. And smart city incentives and concessions are under contemplation at the highest level in the Government of India. A lot of workshops have been held in the recent past on the smart cities. If any of you would have attended, that's similar because we happen to have got involved with the Japanese firm in a smart city concept. The incentives and concessions, we looked at it, And Government of India is preparing a package of incentives and concessions, so far as the integrated townships are concerned. Airports, you don't need any further incentives. The private sector has already participated, 51%. As I said, we are now going to this 2-tier and 3-tier level. I think we are at the brim of the incentives. In fact, we are on the other side, where the consumer has started complaining that they are taking incentives, but they are not passing on the benefit to them. On the ports, we have a policy, we have incentives laid out. Private sector participation is already on. I think we are by and large in place on the incentives. So the gentleman's question is very relevant for the concept, but it's already there, available in the country, and perhaps it requires a full session for him to present what are the incentives and concessions which are discussed. So these are the main things.
Have any comments? Otherwise, I think you have still time to go about 20 minutes break for